The 1960s space-age makeup trends were all about heavy mascara, bold lines, shimmery and metallic shadows, and rhinestones and sequins glued onto the face. This was to echo the fashion trends of the time. Typically, ladies would wear pastel or neutral shades on the lips to keep all the focus on the eyes. Icons like Audrey Hepburn, Francois Hardy, and even Jackie Kennedy wore this look. You could say that this fashion trend was a knee-jerk reaction against the wasp-waisted dresses that were made popular by Christian Dior in the 1950s. This was a trend about comfort. Ladies were done with all of this, like, let's suck it in here and couture it there and blah, 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 blah. No, this was about easy breezy, throw it on, and being able to move in the clothes that you wear every day. Designer Mary Quant pulled inspiration from menswear as well as Balenciaga's sack dresses and the drop waist hemlines of the 1920s to make sure that everything she designed was made for maximum comfort. She was one of the top designers of this era. Today, we can see a lot of retro futurist fashion making a comeback onto social media platforms, especially Instagram and TikTok, in the guise of Y2K fashion, which is really a throwback to 90s fashion, which is a throwback to 60s fashion, which pulls a lot of information and inspiration from 1950s sci-fi. It's really just one youth rebellion copying another youth rebellion, copying another youth rebellion. This is Beauty History with CC Anderson. That's me, even though I don't really look like me today because I am in full 1960s outer space garb. And anyway, this is a place where I tell you all the deeper meanings behind our daily grooming rituals as I see them, Hollywood makeup magic, ancient health and beauty secrets, and other things I find interesting and want to discuss on the channel. This was my way of starting a platform where I could search for truth and purpose and spirituality in my chosen career of hair and makeup artistry and share it with you. If this sounds good and something like you want to get in on, then go ahead and smash that subscribe button. You can also turn on notifications so you can know when the next episode is coming up, as well as join us on Spotify for the days that you can't join us here on YouTube. You can listen on the go. Okay, today we are going back in time while also keeping one eye on the future. Anyway, so researching this trend, it kind of made me think, it started to get me thinking a lot about the future of cosmetics. And I find it really ironic that in a time, right, like the 1960s were a time of peace and love and exploration and equality, right? Because there's a lot of things about equality happening at this time. There was like women's lib, there was the civil rights movement, there was, I don't know, just conversations around being able to afford your life and being able to have some independence. And I sort of wonder if the people who were kind of the proponents of asking for these things to be made, right, like wanting to have disposable fashion, are looking back on that trend now and shaking their heads and going, we shouldn't have done that. Anyway, I don't want to go too hard on the post-war generation because they did give us some really great things like TV dinners and bubble wrap. I read a statistic that the US throws away something like 85% of our plastic doesn't get recycled. Yeah, like 40 million tons of plastic go into the landfill just from our country alone every year. That's a lot of plastic. That's a lot of trash. So it got me thinking about sort of my industry and how in cosmetics we use so much plastic and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. I'm a film and television makeup artist, and how a lot of the stuff that we use today were never meant to go out to the public as a consumer product. They were professional products made specifically to help actors look good on film. It was not something that we wanted ever to be made to correct people in real life. But of course, like anything, people see dollar signs and then they just completely lose their minds and all sense of reason. So thanks, Max Factor, for bringing cosmetics to the masses. Even though I would say that even that wasn't so bad when he first started producing them. He also, like everyone else, was doing refillable packaging up until the 1960s. So it's really just this time, this moment where everything switched from being able to be reused and recycled to then no longer being able to do that. Anyway, I feel like this is my home. My internet channel is my home and I get to say what I want. And I really feel like I want to say these things. It's time for the industry to change, to really, really change. So these are some vintage items I own from the 1960s, and as you can see, they're primarily made of plastic. And this is in big contrast to the sturdier compacts of the 1950s and before, which, as you can see, are made of abalone shell and brass and even leather. So you can really see the difference in quality as well as the refill factor. This is from my vintage makeup collection. This is from Avon. These are actually, this is a lipstick. And no, I'm not going to swatch it. No, I don't swatch my vintage because I've come to the conclusion through following a lot of vintage clothing collectors that there's only so many of these in the world that are left. And if you swatch them, use them, break them, handle them poorly, they're not going to be around for future generations. And I think if you are lucky enough to get one that's in really good shape, you should keep it in really good shape. So this is why I no longer test, swatch, or do anything with my vintage. It is literally just for display only. Anyway, rant over about that. But I don't know, it seems pretty bad that we throw so much stuff away. It seems pretty bad that we don't know what to do with all the stuff we make. So what do you guys think? Do you think that we should just like keep going towards like space, like just get the heck out of here? Or do you think that we should just all calm down and maybe go back to more natural ways of living? People have been sort of intrigued and fascinated by what's beyond the sky for millennia. But it wasn't until the 1950s that people really opened up their minds to space exploration, helpful technologies, flying cars, the whole bit, Jetson's lifestyle. Also influencing this trend was the space race of the Cold War and John F. Kennedy's obsession with getting to the moon. And of course, with the successful mission of Apollo 11 in 1969, it also propelled this trend that started in the 1950s all the way into the 1970s. I mean, honestly, now that I think about it, I don't know if this trend ever really died out. I think it just sort of persisted. And of course, other trends come and go, but this one just kind of, just got a little quiet for a little bit and then just popped up again in the 1990s with the advent of the World Wide Web and the internet. Futuristic fashion reemerged, and this time it focused more on tech. So films like Hackers, Strange Days, and The Matrix all sort of cashed in and capitalized on the public's fear and paranoia around the
information superhighway,
as we used to call it. That's what you're on right now, the World Wide Web. The fact that anybody could have access to anything all the time. I mean, I guess they were sort of right. Like if I think about it, um, I don't know. The AI stuff is pretty scary, right? I kind of don't think it's that scary because I've used it. It only knows so much. You still sort of have to like fact check your AI because it doesn't know everything. It's sort of dumb right now. So we're still eons away. Eons, decades. We have time. We have time. Anyway, I wanted to talk about NASA and Estee Lauder are teaming up, and that is going to be in my next video. And if you guys want to talk about that and get more information about skincare, zero gravity skincare, and cosmetics in space, then make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to turn on your notifications because that's coming up next. So stay beautiful, stay curious, and stay in touch with me on Instagram. It's my name, it's CC Anderson with SEN, not an ON, because it's freaking Danish. There's an E, not an O at the end. All right, so this is Beauty History with CC Anderson. This is an independent program created by me with music by Brian Sanishin. Hope you enjoyed this program and thank you for tuning in. Bye.
a CC Anderson production.